Alright, so hey everybody, what's going on? We are going to be talking about the biggest issue with the Revel kit, direct bolt-on direct drive kit currently, and that is the battery packs. The main thing, the main problem, the main issue that heavily affects the overall performance of the Revel kit is the battery packs. The battery packs are just simply not strong enough to handle the motors that are currently attached to the Revel kit. So the Revel kit currently has two 1100 watt brushless direct drive motors on it. The battery packs that we have are this extended range Samsung 30Q 216 watt hour battery pack, which is a fairly decent battery pack. Mine's is currently damaged, so mine's ass, but if yours is not damaged and let's say you're a 170-pound rider, you should be getting about 12 miles of range out of this battery pack with mixed riding. I'd say riding in speed mode 4 at about 15 miles an hour consistently, pretty much throughout your entire ride. No matter if you're going uphill, downhill, inclines, wherever. This battery pack should get you about 12 miles of range. Um, if you're between, like I said before, 170, 180-pound rider. But this is for the extended range battery pack. And then the standard range battery pack, which is the 144 watt hour Samsung 20R battery pack. This is not acceptable as a standard range battery pack in comparison to the Samsung 30Qs because in comparison to the Samsung 30Q battery pack, simply because of the fact that this is just way lower wattage. You get way less range out of this, and you don't really get to see the performance um, of your motors that you have on your direct drive kit. Like, you don't really get to push your motors to the highest that they can go with this battery pack. Um, and it really hurts the product really badly because these are some good motors that we got on the Revel kit, but it's heavily affected by the battery packs. Not only by the battery packs, by rider weight, by the terrain, and also whatever wheels you decide to put on. And with the current battery packs that we have, this standard range and then the extended range, we are not able to use, especially if you're riding in two-wheel drive, you're not able to use any wheel size. I would say a maximum that's over a maximum of 95 millimeters. So anything that's higher than 95 millimeters, you're going to get heavy, very heavy diminishing returns when it comes to range, when it comes to torque, acceleration, and top speed. Like, everything is just going to get dropped from you putting bigger wheels on the Revel kit two-wheel drive with these current battery packs, and that's mainly because these battery packs are just not strong enough to handle the amount of power that these motors needs in order to really give a person good performance when you're riding it. And that's not to that's not to say that the Revel kit is like completely useless. It's just underpowered right now, mainly because of the battery packs. The battery packs is really hurting the product in comparison to its competitors. Like, so if we take a look at the competitors for the Revel kit, for instance, we have the Meepo NLS Pro, or the Meepo V3 with the NLS Pro's battery inside of it. It has higher range than our extended range battery pack. It's Samsung 40T cells within the Meepo NLS Pro's battery pack, so this has a way higher continuous amp discharge, and it has, of course, more watt hours than our extended range battery pack, which means that you're not only going to get more range out of an NLS Pro, you're also going to get way better acceleration and a way higher top speed because of the fact that they're using Samsung 40Ts. If the Revel kit was using Samsung 40Ts just like the Meepo NLS Pro, its two-wheel drive would be a head-to-head competitor. It would actually be better than the NLS Pro, um, simply because of the drive type as well as the hot swappable batteries, and the fact that you can buy multiple batteries that have way more range than this pre-built board here. But it would be a lot the Revel kit would be a lot better if it had Samsung 40Ts, because we'll actually be able to use almost the full power of these 1100 watt brushless motors that y'all see behind me. I'm sure y'all can see my deck behind me in the background there, but we'll actually be able to use these motors to their highest capacity, and we're not able to use it, not in two-wheel drive and not hardly in four-wheel drive. Granted, I don't have four-wheel drive just yet, so I don't really know what four-wheel drive. I was looking at that camera. I got two cameras set up right now, but I don't really know what four-wheel drive, personally, because I don't have four-wheel drive yet. How much of a performance gain is it over two-wheel drive? I know it is a massive performance increase over two-wheel drive because your weight is now pretty much no longer affecting the motors in terms of acceleration, torque, and top speed. The only thing that's really affecting it is the battery packs and the wheel choice, as well as the terrain that you're riding in. Um, and you also could get, you get more range, and like I said before, you get a better acceleration, top speed out of four-wheel drive. But I don't know how much of a performance gain it is currently with the battery packs that we have now, but I can say this for certain and for sure, that the Revel kit in two-wheel drive stage right now is just completely suboptimal when it comes to performance. Like, if you're out looking for an e-skateboard, especially for performance, which is a thing that mainly people are looking for, or hopefully should be looking for when they're buying an e-skateboard, and you compare the Revel kit to, like I said before, this Meepo and LS Pro, or the Backfire Zealot, which is another great pick, for an e-skateboard, the Backfire Zealot and the Meepo LS Pro are way better options, and they're way better options because of the fact that they are pre-built boards that was built with motors that's not too high in watts. So as we can see from the Backfire Zealot, they have two 750 watt brushless belt motors, or however fucking motors that they have, and then Meepo and LS Pro has 500-watt hub motors. Even though the wattage on both these boards as motors is nowhere near as high as the Revel kit's 1100 watt brushless motors, um, the acceleration and top speed of both these boards are still just leaps and bounds better than the Revel Kit 2-wheel drive, and the reason being is because of the battery packs. Both these boards uses some sort of this definitely uses Samsung 40Ts, but I don't know what type of 21700 cells that the Backfire puts inside of the Zealot battery packs, but I'm pretty certain that it is Samsung 40Ts or Samsung 40T equivalent, um, because these batteries has a way higher continuous amp discharge, and continuous amp discharge really heavily affects, like the power delivery to your motors and how fast your motors will accelerate and reach top speed and stuff like that. So having weak ass battery packs like how the Revel kit has, where you have a 144 watt hour standard range and then you have a 216 watt hour extended range, it's just not good, because the acceleration, especially in comparison to these two other boards, isn't going to be great. And I personally have ridden on a Meepo and a Les Pro myself, just a few little test rides here and there, and I can definitely confirm that off the line acceleration with a Meepo and S Pro with my rider weight in comparison to the Revel Kit 2-wheel drive with 90mm wheels, my acceleration off the line is way faster. My acceleration going to top speed on this is way faster, and it's not necessarily because of the fact that their motors are better. Their motors aren't better, especially the motor type is not better. Like hubs is not better than direct drives by far. But it's mainly due to the fact that they have Samsung 40T cells. If we had Samsung 40T cells in the Revel kit will perform so much fucking better. We would have 30 amps of continuous discharge. We would have higher watt hours. We would have a little bit more range, and our torque and top speed and power would just be a lot better with this kit, and you'll be actually be able to use this thing properly, um, more properly in two-wheel drive, and then turn into four-wheel drive rather than what we have right now. Like these battery packs right now, this and this, they're not cutting it. These battery packs, they're not cutting it. They're not cutting it at all when it comes to performance. Like the Samsung 30Qs, I would say is acceptable. It's acceptable as a two-wheel drive. It's acceptable as a standard range battery pack, not as an extended. It gives decent range, but in decent range and good acceleration, and good top speed, and good torque, but it should only be used as a standard range. It should only be considered a standard range, not an extended range. we need Samsung 40T cells as an extended range battery pack. We need better, higher quality battery cells with a higher continuous amp discharge, and more watt hours per cell, so we can have a little bit more range than the Samsung 20Rs. Like the Samsung 20Rs is not an acceptable standard range battery pack. I don't know why Revelboards decided to go with that instead of doing 30Qs and 40Ts. But to be completely frank and honest with you, they need to completely just drop the 20R battery pack off of the website. They need to just stop selling those, get rid of those battery packs, and turn the Samsung 30Qs into the new standard range, and then create a 10S2P Samsung 40T extended range battery pack, and then sell that as the extended range battery pack. And what they can do is they can take the extended range battery pack that we can have currently, make this a standard range, charge about 150 to 200, pretty much the same amount that they charge for the current standard range battery pack that they have. And then for the Samsung 40T cells, all they got to do, especially when it comes to designing it, all they have to do is legitimately just make the battery pack just a little bit thicker. Just make it a little bit thicker, not make the battery pack so much deeper that when you put this onto the enclosure for the Revel kit, and then you flip the Revel board and you flip your board onto the wheels, the battery pack clearance from the ground to the battery pack, like it's so narrow, and it's such little space that if you're riding, your battery pack will more than likely get scraped and hit up against a lot of debris and stuff on the road when you're out riding. But they can definitely make this battery pack, the enclosure for the battery pack, I'm sorry, just a little bit thicker from the bottom here where I have my stickers. They just need to extend this out just a little bit more, probably about, like, I would say maybe 5 to 10 centimeters, um 20 centimeters if they can get away with that, and just extend it enough for them to be able to put a 10S2P or possibly a 10S3P configuration of Samsung 40T cells. That way we can have a much better battery pack. That way we can have much better performance out of the Revel kit. And that also means that two-wheel drive won't be as suboptimal as it is right now. Because right now two-wheel drive is just completely fucking suboptimal performance. Like, it's nothing more than an over expensive like grocery shopper setup right now when it comes to two-wheel drive. Like, this should have just it's just strong enough to take you to the grocery store and back. It's not good enough to hang out with people in group rides. Like, I've been taking my Revel kit two-wheel drive on group rides, and out of everybody, I'm more than likely the first person to have their board completely dialed on them and then have to get towed. And the reason being is because of the battery cells. It's because of the battery packs. Like, this, even though this battery pack is damaged right now, I don't. It's not from me. Like, when I got it, it wasn't performing well out of the box when I first got it, in comparison to my fixed standard range battery pack. Um, this battery pack, there's something wrong with it. I'm pretty sure it's probably a nickel strip issue, just like how my original standard range battery pack had a nickel strip issue. Because this one, when I first got it in its original state, because the cells in here have been changed, so the battery pack has been fixed. But when I originally got this battery pack, I was only getting 4 miles of range out of it in a hilly area. Even though I live in a hilly area, I still should be able to get well within the estimated range, especially if I'm not going fast, which I'm not. I'm usually cruising around 15 miles an hour. Um, Simply because I know, I live in a hilly area, and with two-wheel drive, I'm not going to be able to climb up hills as easily as I will be able to with four-wheel drive like that. So, even though I live in a hilly area, I still should be able to get within the estimated range for both these battery packs, at least 2 miles within the estimated range. So for this, it's 6 to 10 miles. I get 8.2. That's perfect. But for this is supposed to give you between 10 to 15. 10 is not acceptable, but 10 to 15 miles of range. I should at least be able to get 12 miles of range out of the extended range battery. I don't get 12 miles out of this. I'd be lucky if I can get damn near close to 10. I'd be lucky if I get damn near close to 10 out of this. And I took this battery pack on the same range test route that I took this battery pack on. This battery pack passed multiple times at the same range, 8+ miles of range. This one has such randomized numbers like my original standard range battery pack did, where sometimes I'll go on a ride and it'll give me about 7, 8 miles of range. Other times I'll go on a ride, it'll give me 9.5. And then the last time I did a range test, I got on the same route that I took With this battery pack and did on this battery pack previously, it got me 7.8 miles of range or something along those lines, nearly 8. This should not be giving me anywhere near those numbers that I just mentioned. This should be giving me 12 miles or over, depending on how I ride. Um, but yeah, like these two battery packs, like the extended range is okay, but it should be considered a standard range. Like this should be the default standard range for the Revel kit. This shouldn't be in existence for the Revel kit at all. Even though it's decent, it has some good performance to it. Like this, especially when you come from a standard range battery pack to an extended range battery pack, this has much better acceleration, higher top speed, and supposed to give more range. Mine's is supposed to, but it doesn't for right now. But I'm sure for those of you who do have an extended range Revel kit battery pack, if yours isn't damaged, that it gives more range than your standard range. This is supposed to give more range. This is way more of an acceptable standard range battery pack than it is an extended range. We need Samsung 40T cells, like y'all see from the Meepo and the Les Pro, and like you see from the Backfire Zealot. And that's the reason why these two boards is just pretty much better than the Revel Kit 2-wheel drive. The only time that the Revel Kit is better than these two boards is in 4-wheel drive, and that's only because of the fact that you just tossed another kit on the board and now you're in 4-wheel drive. So now you have two more motors. Your weight isn't really affecting your acceleration top speed anymore, because you're riding 4-wheel drive, and then you have a whole nother battery pack on, but stuff like that. But my whole thing is 2-wheel drive shouldn't be as suboptimal performance wise as it is right now. It should be as good as these two boards. It should be damn near as good as these two boards, if not better. And then it should be absolutely fucking nutty once you get the Revel Kit in 4-wheel drive. Like the Revel Kit 2-wheel drive should have the same sort of punchy acceleration that the Meepo NLS Pro gives and the Backfire Zealot gives, and it should have around the same amount of range that both these boards can do, but in 2-wheel drive mode. And then once you put the Revel Kit in 4-wheel drive, it should just absolutely just blow your mind when it comes to acceleration, top speed, torque, range. It should just absolutely blow your mind. And all that will happen if Revel puts together a Samsung 40T battery pack. And I'm not the only one who's talked about this. Other people's talked about this on Reddit and on the E-skate forums. And this needs to be a thing. Like, they need to make a fucking Samsung 40T battery pack. We need one. We need one. We cannot have fucking 1100-watt motors on a goddamn e-skateboard and then have bullshit batteries to go along with those motors. We're not gonna be able to get good performance out of our motors because of it. We're not gonna be able to see what our motors can truly do in terms of performance wise unless we DIY the shit ourselves some type of way. Um, just to try to see what's the highest performance we can get out of those motors. And I'm telling y'all, if we do get a Samsung 40T battery pack for the Revel kit, the performance of the Revel kit in 2-wheel drive and in 4-wheel drive will just be absolutely fucking insane. We'll pretty much have the same range that the Zealot and the Meepo NLS Pro has. Both these batteries, both the battery packs on these boards can do a max of about 20 miles of range. So probably about 15, I'd probably say about 12 to 15 on conservative riding if you're riding in the high speed mode on both the boards, with probably cruising at about 15 miles an hour with their pre-included wheels. About you can probably get you can probably get about 15 miles of range. I know with the Zealot comes with 96 millimeter wheels, as you can see. So if you was to put 90 millimeter wheels on the Zealot, you would probably most indefinitely get about 20 miles of range out of a single charge for the Backfire Zealot. In the highest speed mode, just cruising at about 14, 15 miles an hour. But for the NLS Pro, you can't really change the back wheels. You can change the front, but there's no point in doing that because it's a hub motor board. So the wheels that this board has, I believe these are 100 millimeter wheels. I believe. No, these. Yeah, they're 100 millimeter wheels. It's a 100 millimeter sleeve and then a 100 millimeter full wheel in the front. If this was able to go 90 millimeter wheels, it would probably definitely be able to go probably 20 miles of range. But you'll definitely be able to see at least 15 miles of range out of the Meepo, um, NLS Pro and Backfire Zealot in comparison to what these battery packs can do. Like this can do 12, which is okay, but not as an extended range battery pack. This would be okay as a standard range. This shouldn't exist at all. This should be our Samsung 40T. And if we had a Samsung 40T, I would say, especially for a 170 to 180 pound rider riding with 90 millimeter wheels in the highest speed mode, cruising at about 15 miles an hour. If I had to guess and say what type of range you should be seeing, you should probably be seeing at least 18 to 20, at least 18 to 20. And that's good because if this can give you 12 and this is the standard range and this is Samsung 40Ts and this gives you 18 to 20, that's perfect, especially considering the fact that if this was Samsung 40Ts over this being Samsung 30Qs, this will give you 30 amps of continuous discharge per battery pack that you put on your board. So let's say you're riding four-wheel drive, you got 60 amps of continuous discharge total between two battery packs on two separate enclosures, versus 30 amps continuous discharge of the Samsung 30Q battery pack, split between two kits if you have four-wheel drive. This is going to give you way more acceleration, way higher top speed, way better performance overall than this. And that's why this needs to be turned into Samsung 40T, because it's just going to give the Revel kit so much better performance. Outside of that, we also need, of course, the app and stuff like that. And I don't know why Revel is focusing their attention on designing cloud wheels for their product when their product has suboptimal performance, at its current stage right now, with it not having an app and also having battery packs that aren't properly uh, given enough sufficient power to these motors to actually give a rider um, a good sense of the max power that these motors can provide them when it comes to acceleration, top speed, and torque. I don't know why they're working on shitty ass cloud wheels. They really need to be working on making a better battery pack. But Revel, if y'all seeing this, because I am going to send this to y'all, and try to at least PM it to Flow or DM it to Flow via Reddit. Y'all need to work on new battery packs. Get rid of the Samsung 20R cells. Turn the 30Q. Fucking go on the website and set the Samsung 30Q battery pack as standard range instead of extended range. Take this shit off of being an extended range battery pack, make it a standard range battery pack, and then turn the Samsung 20R battery pack into a Samsung 40T. And I'm telling y'all, the performance gain that would give to the Revel kit would be leaps and bounds better than what the performance gain that we have right now is. Like, you do get a performance gain when you go from the 20Rs to the 30Qs, but I'm telling you, if the Revel kit was able to go from 30Qs to 40Ts, everyone will ride 40Ts. Everyone will ride who's out for performance with the Revel kit will be riding with the 40Ts, because it'll just make these motors go fucking ape shit when it comes to acceleration, top speed, and performance. But hopefully they fucking do it. I really want them to, because like right now in the current stage of Revel kit, like you have to get four-wheel drive if you want some decent performance, especially if you want the Revel kit to outperform the likes of a Meepo NLS Pro and a Backfire Zealot. You have to get four-wheel drive so that way your acceleration can be just as high, if not better, than both those boards. Well, it is going to be higher than both those boards, but yeah, y'all get what I mean. You have to spend more money and get four-wheel drive just to get the same sort of performance that these two boards, that the NLS Pro and the Zealot provides as two-wheel drive. And that's sad. That's pitiful. We should not need to get four-wheel drive just to get better performance than these two boards. We should have the same amount of performance that those two boards provide with two-wheel drive. Two-wheel drive should have the same amount of performance as this. There's no reason why we should be bottlenecked by these battery packs. Like I said before, make the Samsung 30Q battery pack. Make this battery pack right here, the 216 watt hour. Make this the standard range. Disassemble this. Raise reprint, or if y'all 3D printed this, or just redesign, remold this battery pack enclosure for the standard for the Samsung 20Q battery pack. Make it just a little bit bigger, just a little bit thicker. Don't increase it in length, increase it in width, and put Samsung 40T cells in this, and make this the new extended range. And sell this bitch for like $300. And this would be a much better, much higher performing battery pack than Samsung 20Rs. It'd be much better. But I'm done with the rant. That's all I pretty much want to had. That's all I pretty much had to say. I've been talking for about damn near half an hour about this shit, but I just wanted to make it known and apparent that this is the changes that the main change that the Revel kit needs in order to have really good performance. Like the performance of it right now is okay, but it's really lackluster, especially in 2.0 drive. And 2.0 drive should not be as this underwhelming as it is right now. Like especially in comparison to other 2.0 drive pre-built boards. Like yes, it's a pre-built board, but just because it's a pre-built board and this is a DIY bolt-on, it doesn't mean that its performance should be lower than the pre-built boards. Like the pre-built boards, the only reason why their performance is better, the only reason why these two boards' performances is better, is not because they have stronger motors. It's not because they have a better ESC than the Revel kit. All three of these fucking boards uses Hobbywing ESCs. Of course, each one of their ESCs is probably tuned differently, but every one of these boards, every one of these E-skate products uses a Hobbywing ESC. But the only difference that makes these two better than the Revel kit is the fucking battery pack. It's the cells that they put with the motors. Revel put these big ass 1100 watt motors on the Revel kit, but then put weak ass battery packs to go with the motors. Meepo and Backfire, they put slightly weaker motors on, but then they put better battery packs on, which makes the overall performance of these two boards much higher and much better than the Revel kit. Because even though the Revel kit has stronger motors, these two boards has better battery packs, which means that you're going to get way more acceleration, way more top speed, and way more of a performance gain out of these motors, because these motors are going to be able to perform at the highest, at their highest capacity they can perform with, in comparison to the Revel kit motors. But at the end of the day, it's all up to them. Like hopefully the Revel kit community, like y'all band together with me and we can put a foot up Revelboards ass and get them to do this. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to them. Like I just hope that they do this, because I want the future Revel kits that we get, um version 3 and version 4 and however many other versions going to come after that, I want them to have Samsung 40T battery packs in them as well, or better battery packs than Samsung 40Ts. But right now, the current Revel kit that we have, the second version, um this kit needs 40Ts. It needs 40Ts. So Revel, like I said before, please fucking design a Samsung 40T battery pack and try to release that bitch by Christmas, by the end of this year. Try to release that bitch by Christmas, because we need better battery packs. We need better battery packs. And even if y'all don't want to take the current extended range and rename this to the standard range, and then take this off completely and then make the 40Ts, here's what y'all can do. Just make the Samsung 40T battery packs, and y'all can still sell these two and then sell the third one, and like I said, sell that one for like $300. um so let's sell the Samsung 40T battery pack. Yeah, you can sell it for like $300. Y'all charging $169 for this and $249 for this, so you can charge $300 for the best battery pack that y'all have to offer for the Revel kit for people to get. And we can get those battery packs, and that way we'll have the best performance that we can get out of the Revel kit. um because we really need it. We desperately need it. We For performance and for range, everything, we need it. Especially so that when we take these kits on group rides, we won't seem like the fucking underdogs, and we won't seem like we just bought pieces of shit. We just bought like $600-700 pieces of shit that can barely go anywhere and has one wheel pint style of performance. Like this should not have the similar performance to a fucking one wheel pint. and a one wheel pint costs more than this. Like, I should not have the same amount of range and acceleration and torque as a fucking one wheel pint. Like, my shit should be just as good as an LLS Pro and a Backfire Zella, especially as a Backfire Zella. Like, come on, Revel. Come on.